Welcome back to Good Morning Interbike. I'm David, your host, and we're live at interbike.com/live. All week I told you we're talking to movers and shakers. This isn't a mover or a shaker. It's only the journal of record for the bicycle industry. We've got Mark Sani from Bicycle Retailer and Industry News. Welcome back to Good Morning Interbike.
Thank you. Glad to be here. It's good to be here.
What is the buzz at the show? How is the show going for manufacturers and retailers?
In general, I think everybody feels pretty happy. Traffic seems to be strong. Exhibitors seem to be happy. It's really rocking downstairs yesterday. I haven't been down there this morning, but all those small new entrepreneurial companies down there seem to be happy.
We used to call it Tiny Town. Now they make us call it the Lab.
Whatever they call it, it seems to be a hot spot down there.
I like kind of starting down there because, those could be the Treks and Specialized of the future.
They could be.
That's it?
That's all I can say is they could be.
So it really does seem like traffic is really good. Pat Hoos was on the other day, and he's over there, so we're going to ignore that he's there. Yeah. He mentioned that square footage is up. It's good. From your perspective, floor looked busy yesterday and the day before.
I don't have any numbers. You have to sort of go by buzz, how you feel when you walk around. It seemed to be busy. Exhibitors seemed to be happy. I've talked to a number of companies, and nobody was really complaining about anything. And usually they'll complain to us if they have half a chance. So, all is good with the show as far as I can tell.
What would you say are some of the hot topics here at the show?
Well, I think pricing is always a topic. The continued dominance of Specialized and Trek in terms of locking out competitors. That came up in a lot of conversations with manufacturers
for
that I've
those
had.
Maybe who haven't experienced it, what does that mean?
Well, for example, Trek and Specialized will demand a certain percentage of floor space, ranging from 50 to 80% of your floor space. They tend to lock out certain kinds of products and brands with dealers. So, for example, right now Specialized seems to be trying to lock Cannondale out of as many stores carrying Specialized products as possible. Trek does essentially the same thing. They probably are a little bit more diplomatic about it, but it is all about managing a retailer's floor space to your benefit.
So how does a retailer deal with something like that?
It's pretty tough. It's tough for a retailer. Specialized and Trek, particularly Specialized, is a marketing machine.
Yeah.
Mike and his crew at Specialized do a great job of promoting their product. They make excellent product. They invest heavily in R&D. That is a profitable brand for retailers to carry. And certainly Trek makes great product as well. It's not so much the bikes anymore as it is the accessories. Specialized really does not like to see Giro helmets side by side with their helmets, or Bell helmets. And Mike would make the argument that this is a company that also sells heavily online. So stick with the brands that give you the most profit.
Yeah.
Trek does essentially the same thing. So there's a lot of competition for accessory space as well. And Giant wants to play in that field as well. So it's a big issue. Dealers are frustrated by it, yet at the same time, Trek and Specialized are good to them from a profit standpoint.
Sure.
So it's a complex problem. We as a magazine probably need to do more about it, write more about the impact concept stores have on the business. So.
What about the women's market? It seems like, and it's only the first time I've said this today, but I've said it multiple times the last couple of days, shrink it and pink it has sort of gone away, and companies, Specialized as an example, is doing more to be more women's specific. Are you seeing more of that with dealers?
I think so. We do a lot of dealer tours and dealer visits, and certainly smart dealers who aren't marketing to women will not be dealers for long.
Yeah.
In my opinion, women are a growing portion of the market. I would have to say Specialized in particular has really gone after that market well. They invest a lot in R&D for women, and that's not to say that Trek doesn't or Giant doesn't. But I think if we're talking overall, certainly Trek has, Specialized has been the most visible.
But I think we've come a long way from the days when it was just one or two brands, She Beast, Terry, that were focusing on women, and it's become much more inclusive as an industry, hasn't it?
Well, particularly on the apparel side.
Yeah.
You've seen every company selling apparel today is really focusing a little bit on women, or more on women, I should say. So
you mentioned something before we went on, and it's something I'm intrigued to learn more about: counterfeit products. How much of a problem is that in the industry?
It's hard to say, but I will say this: anybody who wants to buy a bike online is an idiot. Particularly a carbon fiber bike, and one only has to go visit Specialized to see what they've had to deal with in terms of counterfeit frames. And I'm sure Trek has had the same problem.
Yeah.
I forget, Pinarello is another one that's been plagued by this. And these are counterfeit carbon fiber frames that are being sold on eBay for prices that really don't make sense, but there are just stupid people out there. I mean, really stupid people.
Yeah.
And they'll see an S-Works frame for $1,000, and they'll go, I got to have that. And then they'll ride it, and that frame will shatter or break or crack in some way. And there's been some serious injuries. And I was at a Specialized event here in July, and they had a real S-Works frame next to a counterfeit S-Works frame, and it was not that easy for me to pick which was which. Now, after a few minutes, you're staring at it, and you go, I think that one's the counterfeit frame. So from a visual perspective, it's very hard for a consumer to tell the difference. But that person is buying a bomb that will go off at the worst possible moment.
With serious consequences.
With serious consequences.
What can the industry do to educate consumers more about that?
Well, I mean, I think all facets of the industry need to point out that buying what appears to be good product, particularly carbon fiber product. If you want to buy a steel bike, I don't think that's a big issue. But if you want to buy carbon fiber handlebars and you think you're getting the deal of the century, you may not be getting the deal of the century. You may be getting the injury of your life.
Wow.
So it is a problem. I think Specialized has been the most open and the most aggressive about pursuing it. We've written a number of stories about it over the last year or two. I think we need to do more from a publishing standpoint. But I think the industry has to recognize that when you see a deal online, it may not be that good of a deal at the end of the day.
One of the things that somebody keeps mentioning to me is, and it comes up when we talk about carbon clincher wheels. There's so many different brands. Paul Liu from Reynolds will tell you that there's so many different brands of carbon clinchers. And there's no industry standard when it comes to manufacturing and tolerances and things like that. And so you've got the guys like Reynolds who are up here, and then you've got the lower end guys down here. And so one of the things that people always talk about is a lack of standards, maybe a lack of a good trade association for the manufacturers. Do you hear any buzz about those kinds of things?
Well, I mean, I think, people should know more about carbon fiber wheels in general. They're there. The product continues to improve. Braking issues are slowly being solved.
Yeah.
Road disc brakes have some validity in terms of safety and stopping
power. Certainly for the enthusiast market.
Certainly for the enthusiast market. I can't speak to it personally. I don't own carbon fiber rims. I've ridden on them. I don't know that there's a huge problem there.
Okay.
We do have a legal system that if there were a huge problem there, would somebody be filing lawsuits?
You would think so. What's new with the magazine? How are things going at the magazine? For those who don't know, how long has the magazine been around?
This is our 21st year of publishing. We attended our first Interbike in 1991 in Anaheim when Steve Reddy owned the show, and we were stuck in a 10x10 booth downstairs in the parking garage.
And you had at the time, if I've got this right, 3 competitors when it came to trade publications.
Yes.
And now there is just
us.
You. Does that mean you're really good at it? You're just
Well,
stubborn?
I mean, I think we've been good at it. We can always be better at it. I personally would not mind seeing a good competitor in the market because I think that's really good for us. It's good for the industry. But the industry probably can't support 2 good trade magazines.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the fact of life of publishing today. And so I think the issue for us and for any magazine is how do you compete against yourself? How do you make yourself better? I like to think that we have a great staff. Lynette Carpier, our editor, is a wonderful leader. She's done a great job taking over from Megan Tompkins. Nicole Formosa, our international editor, she is out there. She'll be leaving this afternoon for Italy to go to the Padua show.
She and I were talking about the amount of traveling she's been doing this year.
And I believe in putting our editors on the road and at events, meeting people. Toby Hill, our managing editor, is a great mountain bike rider. We just have to keep him from injuring himself. Steve Frothingham, who helped start the magazine many years ago, left Velo News to come back to work for us. I think that says something about our magazine.
Absolutely.
I don't know what it says about Velo News, but it says something about our magazine and what we do. He's our web editor. So if you take a look at our focus is on content. Our costs are in our editors. And we can publish digitally, we can publish in print, we can put that content out any way we want.
Yeah.
But if you don't have good content providers, you don't have a credible product at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so that's my focus. It's all about the editors. And if you focus on that content, you're going to succeed.
Absolutely.
But it may not be easy.
Yeah, well.
Editors can make you crazy too. I know, I used to be one.
I don't even want to go there. Let's talk a little bit about the future. Put on your prognostication hat. How's the future of the bike industry? What I'm hearing as I've talked to people on the couch all week is for dealers, sales are up, traffic is good on the floor. How's the bike industry looking?
Well, I tell you, I'm very bullish on the bicycle industry personally. It's in the right position in terms of health, in terms of transportation, congestion, sports, recreation, whether it's on road bikes or mountain bikes. It's a well-positioned industry for the future. The globe is not getting any cooler. We don't have fewer people on the globe. Congestion worldwide is an issue. The diminishing prospects for fossil fuel. It's on the horizon somewhere. We don't know where, but it's on the horizon. I think this industry is a great industry to be in for the future, personally.
There was a time when bike dealers would talk about the Lance Armstrong effect and the positive influence that had on their sales. Today, you know what I'm hearing dealers say? Bike share. That in a lot of cities where bike share exists, that has had a positive impact on their businesses. Are you hearing the same thing?
Well, I think the few cities that have bike share programs are learning from it. I think those are difficult programs to manage at the end of the day. They're costly. But yeah, it gives the bicycle visibility. It shows what you can do with a bike. I tend to agree with John Burke on issues of advocacy. But all this will happen over time. If you're in a hurry, I think you'll be disappointed. But if you're a patient person, and I think all this is going to shake out well for the positive.
Speaking of Burke, I mean, if you think about what was termed his old man speech, right? It was 10 years ago. And then he did the speech at the Bike Summit, I think 5 years ago, his Al Gore speech. Bike advocacy has come quite a long way in that period of time. And I think that he and Tim Blumenthal and others are patient and impatient at the same time.
Well,
we want it, but we also know that it may take some time.
Yeah.
And like Burke says, just do something.
Yeah.
I think that those are the things that will really help our cause. Mark, it's always good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Tell people where they can find Bicycle Retailer and Industry News.
Well, here at the show, just come to our booth.
It's right down there.
It's right down there. Go to our website, bicycleretailer.com, and it's all there.
It's excellent. Thank you for doing the good work that you do. As I said, you really are the journal of record for the industry, and it's great to have you where you are. I remember when there were those other competitors, when the mail would come, when I was, my day job was in the bike business, and the mail would come, even when there were checks in the mail, I've told you this before, Bicycle Retailer got read before the checks got open. So I think that says something about the publication.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's still true today. So thank you for joining us.
Okay.
It's Mark Sani from Bicycle Retailer and Industry News. We're here at Good Morning Interbike, and we will be back in just a moment with Beverly Garrity from At My Local Bike Shop. Stick around.